Hi, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to the Writer's Bookshelf. So this week we're back with another craft book. This one by a writer that we've already covered twice this season, and we're going to probably do one more before we're all finished with her books. But this week we're going to focus on her book called How to Write a Page Turner. Of course, that author is Jordan Rosenfeld, who we remember for the Persistence book. I actually don't remember the title anymore. How to writing for with persistence, I think it's called, and then the follow up to that was Make a Scene, which we did after the Plot Whisperer. So she's going to be a bit of a focal author for us this season, term season. You know what I'm trying to say. Anyway. What this book is about conflict in particular. It's about suspense. It's about trying to create scenes that your reader's going to devour and be frustrated that they need to know more. Like when they end it, it's not necessarily like a cheat where they're going to get frustrated at you because they want to give up, but because like they're so interested in what you're writing that they need to know more of what's coming. So this book really covers like all the different types of scenarios where you might captivate your reader and get them to want to turn the page. And so we're going to again look at the usual insides here. So you'll see like right here in the inside you have the essential tension elements. That's part one, and then of course you go into the first chapter. Chapter one's called Danger. And so what this is interesting about is when we talk about the essential elements, we're talking about the four core elements that would drive tension. So in this case, those topics are danger, conflict, uncertainty, and withholding. Withholding is a particular interesting one, in my opinion, because withholding is the one where even we as an author want to share with our audience, like, okay, like, Bob is definitely like going to go and, make out with Jan over there, but we don't know that. We know that because we're the author. We know this is coming, but the reader, it's like anticipating, like, when's Bob going to make his move? And he goes up there and he's about to speak up, and then he just stubs his toe on something, and it's like, I'm like in pain right now. And Jan doesn't notice because she's on her phone, and then she walks off because she's got a date with Fred. And Bob missed his chance because he stubbed his toe, but there's gonna be another chance. And so the reader's waiting for that. They're waiting for us to get to that point, but we didn't give it to them at that moment. They are frustrated, but yet exhilarated because they're like, okay, well, Bob just screwed it up right now, but, I'm giving you another chance. And so they're going to give Bob another chance, assuming they like Bob, which is another story altogether. But you see how, like, these are interesting scenarios where, the author can leverage, the different types of tension to really get the page going. And so this book, even in the first 50 pages here, which you can see is, not long, it tries to give you some ideas on how to, get your reader to go through on those ideas. So, for example, if you want to look at the quality here, we'll look at the withholding chapter, just to kind of get a feel for how she sets up a chapter in here in this book. Because, again, we like to look at everything that defines the chapters of the book. So, like, if you go to page 48, we have the chapter on withholding, so you can see it right there, and you'll see that she's broken it down in little subsections here. So obviously you want to read carefully what the different ways in which you can show withholding. So right now she's talking about with scene level withholding, so that includes approval, and I'll give you the first paragraph on that one. Has your character always thought to improve himself capable to his critical father? Withhold that approval. Make him fight for it until he realizes he doesn't need it after all, or finds it in some other pursuit or relationship. Has your character found a mentor who is like a mother figure because she longs to hear that someone is proud of her? Withhold it as long as you can and push her to become proud of herself. Often you'll find a character who seeks an emotional need from a lover or a mentor in their lives. Withhold it as long as you can. Do not give it to them just because you feel bad for them. When your readers feel bad for your characters, they keep reading. There you go. And so we saw the example with Bob, how, we feel bad for Bob because, Jan could have been into him, but he'll never know, at least not yet, because he's too busy stubbing his toe on something stupid. But, we keep reading, we can see that we can find withholding in physical objects. So let's see. While you don't have to play a literal game of monkey in the middle with your characters, you do want to keep important objects out of reach, especially when they're important to your character's goals and the plot. So, typically the MacGuffin would be your withheld physical object. As an example, of course, romantic union's a big one. Entire genres are based on that one. Information's a good one. That was like your spy thrillers, your pretty much any mystery or thriller. Withholding information is an important part of that. And then resisting another character's goals. So that's villains versus protagonists will do that. This is where they reference The Man Called Ove, which I actually just finished reading, and that's an excellent book, by the way. If you've never read it, you absolutely should. It's right here in the section here, and I'll read the section on that because I just think it's a great book. Another fantastic way to create tension through withholding is when one character refuses or resists doing what another character wants or needs, particularly if there's something relatively urgent about the need. So in Frederick Bachman's darkly comic novel, A Man Called Ove, curmudgeonly Ove, recently widowed, is cranky and hermetic. He doesn't like to socialize, and he is planning to kill himself because without his recently deceased wife for 40 years, he sees no point in living. However, new neighbors have moved in, a man, his pregnant wife, and their 2 young children. Ove wants nothing to do with him, but they continue to impose themselves upon him, thwarting his desire to end his life and forcing him out of his shell. And let me tell you, yes, that is so true. If you have not read the book, that's like his ongoing struggle is he can't ever, well, I don't want to give the book away, just read the book. But the idea is, even in the scenes of, you don't really want him to succeed, and yet at the same time, you're kind of waiting to see, like, well, what's going to happen to this scene? Because somebody's going to crash the party. They have to. They always do. And basically, that's not really the point of this excerpt. After you read the excerpt, you find that he's trying to withhold his help to help his neighbors because, again, he just wants to achieve his own goal, but he really can't let go because, he's not the kind of guy who would just give up on his neighbors because, he's Ove. And again, if you read the book, you'll know what I'm talking about. You should. That's your other side homework is read A Man Called Ove. It's a great book. And there's a movie coming out with Tom Hanks called A Man Called Otto. It's basically based on that book. So if you can't read the book, then go see the movie. But you should read the book. It's good. So anyway, you go on into the new subheading here with plot level withholding. So again, this is like your bigger sections where you're moving away from the scene and into like the big picture. So again, your mysteries will often do this. The story hinges upon the withholding right here. So it should be pretty obvious, I think, if you're writing a particular type of genre. But it never hurts to be reminded because, again, as writers, we're so focused on the moment that we forget the big picture sometimes. And that's especially true with my own head. I'm at a point now where if I remember my own name, I'm doing pretty well. So trying to remember the big picture is not easy anymore. I still get there, but it takes a lot extra work. Anyway, each section, don't overdo it. So each section does end with attention takeaway. So like her other books, when you get to the end of the chapter, you're going to get a review. That's helpful if you're a note taker. And then she'll give you a challenge. So example for attention takeaways, withholding is the art of preventing your protagonist from getting what they want right away. Withholding should create frustration, irritation, fear, longing, and other intense emotions in your protagonist. And then there's a few other bullet points which you can read when you buy the book. And then, of course, there's a now use section. So she's challenging you to do the same. And then you go into part 2 with tension with characters. And then we go through the whole session all over again. So just a kind of an overview of the other things to come here. So with tension with characters, you have the chapters are tension and character goals, the war within your character, use character flaws against them, torment your protagonist, which is always fun, create radical reversals, tense talk, and then power struggles between protagonist and the antagonist. So in all these cases, you are essentially not playing nice with your main character. You are, kind of throwing them into the fire at every turn, and you don't want to be ridiculous about it. Obviously, they have to have a break every so often, but the point is the more breaks you give them, the less, or the more likely your reader is going to put the book down because they're relieved. And the point of this section is to show ways in which your reader feels like they can't put the book down yet because they're worried that your protagonist is going to suffer, or they're looking forward to seeing them suffer, which depends on how masochistic or how sadistic rather your readers are. It'd be masochistic of me to do that to my characters because I care about them, and that hurts me, right? Nah. All right. Part 3 is plot tension. So we have tighten the tension of your inciting incident. Again, the inciting incident is the main hook of the book. Like if your reader's not interested in what happens in the inciting incident, then you're not going to get them to read the rest of it. So that's certainly something you need to work on. Building tension at the energetic markers. So the energetic markers, if you're unfamiliar, this is something that she talks about pretty much in all of her books. She talks about it in Make a Scene. She talks about it from writing deep scenes that she did with Martha Alderson, whatever the name is. These are the sections where the story hinges on pivot points and the momentum that you have to use in order to get to the next factor. So it's typically like your plot points, your pinch points, things like that. So she's basically teaching you how to build tension in those sections so that you keep the reader going into the next act or the next part of the act. Eliminate the unnecessary. So again, if the book doesn't need it, don't use it, because nothing kills tension faster than an irrelevant scene. And again, I think we all deal with it. I'm notorious for having scenes that end up going nowhere. This is why my books end up being 150,000 words in the first draft. And why it sucks having to try to figure out how to edit them. It's real easy to go in that direction. But if you want your reader to keep on going and not give up on the book, you got to get rid of that stuff that's not relevant and doesn't add any extra drama or tension to it, because they will put the book down and they won't be that eager to pick it back up. Of course, you want to shore up scene tension. So this is where, again, you can kind of bank toward a much bigger, much fiercer tension. And then maximize setting tension. So even within the context of the surroundings, this is where you have a lot of moody scenes. The house is shaky. Will it fall? I actually have a scene in... Okay, so bear with me for a minute. There's a book I have called Cannonball City, which is actually more of the anthology size or anthology grade story. It's like it's a year in the life of this character who's on the run from a serial killer. It's a big thing. I'm going to eventually split the books down into smaller, easy to read chunks. I haven't got there yet. I'm hoping to maybe do that by Christmas, because that'll mark the 15th anniversary of when I first started writing this series. But there's a scene which will end up being in the third book once I split everything down, where the main character and this treasure hunter that he encounters in a junkyard. Yes, you heard that correctly. They're heading back to the town, and this all takes place on a tropical island. Heading back to town, and on the way there's this rundown shack. It's boarded up. It looks like it's about to fall over. And the treasure hunters insist that they go inside for shelter because there's a huge storm coming in, probably tropical storm level winds and rain coming their way. And the treasure hunter wants to seek shelter in this little rickety shack that the big bad wolf could probably blow over. And of course, the main character, he is not feeling it. He does not want to go in, but there is a storm coming, and the guy insists on, no, we are going in. And that's that. And of course they go in, and there's a reason why the guy wants to go in, and it's there's more to the shack than we see, but we don't know that initially. And so the whole time, when the storm comes in, we don't know how long it's going to stand. So you can get that that tension in setting, just depending on how clever you are with the scene around it and what you do with it. But the last part is the tension and the exposition. You'll see we're at the bottom here. And that's just, creating the sentences that sing and the power of images. This is where you're going to literally just break it down, the components of the scene, so you build it into language. The way you describe things will in some way beef up the amount of tension that comes in your story. So you have things like sensory imagery and whatnot. Let's see. So here's an example of setting imagery. This is from Richard Kadri's Sandman Slim, according to the book. Right here is my finger is. The boulevard is only ever real at night when it's both bright and black, and there are promises hidden in every shadow. So, Yeah, it's don't forget that setting imagery is another great way to convey setting details in broad strokes without having to create a virtual magazine spread. Basically, she's saying use different strategies to kind of simplify your setting while still giving character to it and making it interesting and all that stuff. Anyway, that's about it. Not a very complicated book to get through. It's of all of her books that she wrote. It's I don't think it's her highest rated book. It's still, I think, on average about 4 stars when you go to most of the retailers, and I think it's probably just because the book is it covers a lot of ground, but it's pretty plain in its delivery. So I don't know that anyone's particularly impressed by it, but it doesn't demean the power of what you're going to learn from it. So this is one of those books where I do think it's probably stronger entry points to the idea of page turning tension. I think the one that I'm going to cover in a few weeks is one of the more popular ones on that same general idea. And I don't want to spoil the surprise because I haven't read it yet and I don't know if it's actually in the same vein as this. But the one I did last season called Emotion, Conflict, and Tension, I think it's probably a more profound development of the idea of tension because I mean, there's a smaller section on tension, but I think she cuts to the grain a lot faster. So I think you're going to probably ultimately get more out of it because of that. What this is going to do here is it's going to give you some ideas on the snapshot level or on the detail level. So if you're struggling with a scene or if you're struggling with an energetic marker, anything like that, you can always go back and just refer to the section of the book where it reminds you how to deal with it. So I think this is one of those books where you should absolutely read, have it on your shelf, but don't expect it to blow your mind. Rather, expect it to just remind you how to do something well enough that your reader is going to be amazed by it. Ultimately, you're gonna have to bring your skill into the scene and show your ability to get your reader to stay on the hook by providing moments in the story where bad things happen and they're not sure if the character it's not that they won't make it, it's like how intact will they be when they get out. Of course your protagonist is always going to make it out of a scene because they have to, they're the protagonist. It's not like All Quiet on the Western Front where you haven't read it. You should. I think the movie just came out. It's not like that, but you still want to make sure that they're not going to lose a finger or lose a loved one or lose something valuable to them. You want to you're going to keep reading because you have to know like how are they going to get through this? Can they get through this? Can they get through this without destroying everything around them? A lot of these questions worth asking. So it's a good reminder of what the goal is and how to achieve that goal. So that's why I recommend it. But that's about it. So again, that's How to Write a Page Turner by Jordan Rosenfeld. This is 3 out of 4 books that she wrote that we're going to cover this season. We've got one more coming later. But I think she's a good writer. I think she's a good teacher. And if you are new to writing, I think you'll learn a lot from her books. And if you're a veteran, I think you'll get some good reminders of just what you're doing and why. Obviously, if you've been doing this a while and you've got your rhythms, I don't even know why you're watching the series, other than to just see if there's anything you have missed. But yeah, if you're still trying to figure things out, it's another good one to have in your collection. So. But that's it for today. So next time we're going to be doing another craft book on kind of the same premise. I think it's going to be a higher rated book, and it's going to be from an author that we've already looked at previously. So it should be good. Can't comment on it yet because I literally just started reading it, so I don't really know what's in it yet. But it looks like it'll be a good one, so I'm confident that it's one that's going to be worth recommended. And then in February, which I think, I'm not sure where we are in the pacing, but in February we will be switching genres most likely. Probably wouldn't be a big surprise what genre we're going to move to. Spoiler alert, I don't have those books yet, but I've seen what I want to get and I've seen what I want to review. So, if you are looking for a February branded genre that's immensely popular among readers, that I don't write myself, but I would still want to learn how to, just so I know what to, how to tell you guys about it. Um, that should be coming up here very soon. So be on the lookout. So that said, we'll call it for today. But thanks for watching as usual. Don't forget to like, subscribe, do all the things YouTubers tell you to do. Make sure that you comment below if there's any books you want to recommend, or if you want to comment on this one that we talked about. If you want to comment on Jordan Rosenfeld's other books. I don't know that she'll see your comments, but I don't know that she won't, because I've had there's a few of these that have gone live that the authors have found them and commented and responded. So you might be seen. I don't know. It's worth a shot. But anyway, I admit that hasn't happened in a while, so I don't know if people are still watching this. But at any rate, it doesn't hurt to just leave a comment anyway, because I like the feedback. I like to know if you guys enjoy this stuff. I like to know if you're helped at all by it. A few of you are, and I appreciate you when you reach out and tell me. But obviously, there's no end to how often it's nice to hear that this stuff is useful. So, and I'm sure if the authors ever do come along, they would like to know that you're helping them too. Not that they can't read the reviews, but the reviews are sometimes not nice or kind, and I don't know. YouTube can be nicer and kinder, maybe. We'll see. No star ratings are applicable, so that's always nice. Anyway, but that's all for today. Hope you have a good day, and again, we'll be doing another one in a couple weeks, hopefully, as long as I don't fall behind on my reading. Because again, as of this recording, I have recorded every video on every book I've read so far that I plan to do this season that I haven't forgotten, and that's code for there might be some books I've read that I haven't done yet because I kind of forgot what's in them. That's, again, I've explained before, my memory's not great. But as far as the ones I want to do in the near term, yeah, no, I haven't really played catch up on those yet. So I hope I don't fall behind. But again, I'm recording this in early November, so you should be getting this in January. So maybe I'm caught up by now. We're hoping. So that's it. Anyway, thanks for watching as usual, and don't forget to tell your friends to come here if you know any writer friends. And hopefully we'll get more people to watch this, so that will become more popular, and we can get more people to read books again. So it's always nice. All right, that's it. Have a good day. Talk to you next time. Thanks. Bye.